This is peace. The peace along the Suez, the peace along the Jordan that came to Israel's borders after the Six-Day War, and that has come to Israel within her borders. The peace of 1968, after 20 years and 3 costly rounds of battle, 1948, 1956, and yesterday's seemingly decisive Six-Day War, June 5th through June 10th, 1967, in 6 dramatic and unforgettable days, 2.5 million people of Israel, against great odds, turned the Arab threat of defeat and annihilation into a stunning victory. Unconditional ceasefire ended the war and the emergency. Or did it? Arabs bar direct peace talks. Soviet comeback as power in the Middle East causes rising concern in the West. Brief months after the Six-Day War, the one certain thing about the Middle East is that there is still no peace. The emergency that blew up like a whirlwind in May and June of 1967 has given way to another emergency, a long-term emergency, a stretched-out emergency that fills the papers one day with news of diplomatic ploys, and the next day with sudden air alerts, skirmishes and incidents daily, everywhere, from the high reaches of Mount Hermon at the Syrian border in the north, to Sinai and Suez in the south, to the West Bank that fronts the Jordanian border. Everywhere, Israel stands strained, tense, as the number of people hurt or killed climbs, and costs mount up. But what worries Israel's people most is not the ceasefire that isn't a ceasefire. It is the war that could come again this summer, or fall, or any time that reckless Arab leaders decide they are ready for a 4th round. Peace? Listen to the man who recently led them, General Yitzhak Rabin.
Since the end of the war, especially Russia rushed to their help. More than 400 jet fighter planes were sent to the Arab countries, to Syria, Iraq, and Egypt. More than 600 tanks, I would say even more than 800 tanks, have been sent till now to these Arab countries, and of course enormous amount of other military equipment. The Russians have come also to their assistance by sending about 3,000 Russian advisors, instructors and technicians only to the Egyptian army. And now we might face, it mustn't happen, but it can, a 4th round.
Despite a veil of secrecy, Russia's increasing involvement and growing presence in the Middle East is daily coming to light. This rare film sequence records a squadron of Soviet medium bombers arriving in Cairo. In the Middle East, logic runs its own peculiar course, and easy assumptions more often than not spell danger. Despite defeat, Nasser again rides high. As for the Syrians, they continue as the chief supporters of the well-equipped and organized terrorist gangs of El Fatah that infiltrate the country. Hundreds of raiders have been captured, but hundreds more are still active. And Israel's people always have to be prepared that some may get through, that houses and installations, such as this rail line at Kiryat Gat, may be blown up. The burden the cost of victory runs high. How high? The people of Israel only know that cost will run into hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. And over and beyond, there is this item. Across the land, Israel must keep tens of thousands of citizens mobilized at 1,000 checkpoints, over and beyond again. The heavy cost of administering daily life for 1.25 million Arabs now inside the ceasefire borders, a majority of whom live here, the West Bank. Yesterday, ancient provinces of Judea and Samaria. Earlier, Joshua, leading a people out of the wilderness, ushered them here into the Promised Land. Colonel David Brin, military governor of Ramallah, answers a question on how Israel is coming to terms with the Arabs in the West Bank area.
Well, first of all, the people here recognize what are our real intentions. They see no hate. They see a lot of will to help them in many fields. For instance, in agriculture, we have many instructors here in the area who help the falahim. These are the farmers, the local farmers. They are helped with new seeds, with new ways to cultivate their land.
Today, we see Israel making a great effort, at very great cost, to restore normal life for the Arabs there. One cost, thousands of jobs for new roads and public works, such as this project, a project to widen and improve this historic link between the cities of Hebron and Jerusalem. Another cost, with teacher salaries underwritten, education for thousands of Arab children, today back in the swing of school. Israel's target now, as ever, is to secure the peace. But even without peace, life on the West Bank goes on, even thrives with Israel's encouragement, especially here at the bridge down by the Jordan east of Jericho. Families headed for Amman, and often from Amman bound for Ramallah and Jerusalem. The bridge is open especially to Arab farmers on the West Bank who take their produce to market on the East Bank. This time everyone is pleased. Jordan, the Arab farmer, and Israel, which has spared the need to absorb a food surplus. But peace in the Middle East will not come as easily as this arrangement on the Jordan, and is still far away. Costs for security, costs for rearmament. Israel's people must meet them alone. But this cost is ours. The humanitarian costs of aiding Israel's immigrants, new and old. 400,000 still unabsorbed immigrants of yesterday, and 30,000 refugees from Arab North Africa arriving now, this year. For the unabsorbed, for those coming, we must assure housing and welfare aid of every kind till they get started. Listen to Louis A. Pincus, chairman of the Jewish Agency, Israel's philanthropic agency for meeting immigrant needs with our aid.
You are witnessing the assembly hall of where we are processing the new immigrants who have arrived about an hour ago by aeroplane. They come mainly from North Africa. Half of them are from very large families, 7, 8, and 9, and even 10. There are amongst them 30 young children from Youth Aliyah. This is what we are taking in at a time when Israel is facing one of its most serious crises since the Six-Day War. But the main job is how to absorb them, how to make the large families integrate into the country so that they become a blessing and not a burden. We have to stand fast in the long haul under the brutal political pressures which could end in military conflict. Our neighbors have under no circumstances reconciled themselves to our existence. All our resources have to go to prepare us to be ready if that conflict were to break out again. It must now be a clear position. If we are to build one people, if we are to keep our schools open, if we are to allow social aid in proper measure, if we are to build a new Jewish people with equality of opportunity, with a hope for the future, then the Jews of the affluent world have to find the dollars. That means hope and education for the young, and hospitalization and medicine for the sick, and a home and a roof for the aged, job retraining for the adolescent. These are the things that go to build an integrated community. Without these, we cannot hope to build one people.
One people. The promise made to these immigrants of just yesterday. Many of them still jobless, still unabsorbed, without a future. One people. The promise these war veterans made to themselves and to Israel. Yes, today they receive their battle ribbons. A few short months ago, they were surging across the land, fighting magnificently on the Golan Heights, in Sinai, on the West Bank. Fighters, yes, as brave a nation of fighters the world has ever known, but with no desire to be conquerors, rulers of other people.
We are seeking peace, and we still hope that once we'll achieve it. But we have to be prepared to defend ourselves, because without it, we'll never reach any sort of peace in the area.
Therefore, which will require forces and courage of endurance much greater even possibly than those that were shown during the Six-Day War. It is these forces that we will find within ourselves. We will find them because we know that we have secure partners beyond our own borders. I mean, of course, the Jewish people.
What must we do? The answer is very clear. We alone have to meet the entire humanitarian job, the job of immigrant aid and absorption, which we were supposed to meet in full from the beginning. The survival of Israel's people and Jewish survival mean as much to us now as they did in 1967. To meet the continuing emergency, you have to give more to the Israel Emergency Fund, more than you gave last year. To meet important local needs, give an increased gift to your regular welfare fund drive. Give both gifts through your community campaign.